and this is video 3 in the Friday session video series. And today we are interviewing Stephen Rooney, no relation for disclosure, and everybody will know Stephen because he's kind of recognised now as
the igloo guy or the Eskimo.
The Eskimo man, the only Eskimo in Northern Ireland. So we're interviewing that, and as you can see from the background, we're in gorgeous Cranfield, and we're outside today because of obviously the restrictions and the regulations. Okay, so Stephen, I think to kind of get started, we can't talk without talking about the igloo.
Yes.
So, how many blocks in the igloo?
Well, about over 300 blocks cut in the snow.
Okay.
And a total of 33 hours, I think, around about there to build. Over 5 nights.
Okay.
Over 5 nights, yes.
And how many steps? Did you do a step count?
How many steps? Well, I reckon I've the equivalent of something like the equivalent of Mount Everest twice I've hiked in the last 3 weeks. So it comes to 20,228 metres in elevation.
20,228 metres.
That's what it comes to. So that's what I've hiked in the last 3 weeks. Because up prior to the igloo, I hiked, sourcing out the ideal spot. I knew I wanted to maybe possibly build one.
Yeah.
But it came around spur of the moment largely. Like it was just through getting caught in a blizzard and thinking I need shelter.
Yeah.
And I just set off to build it. So
you built the igloo from a motivation that you needed a bit of shelter.
That's right.
Whilst you're up the mountains.
That's right. Got
Seriously?
caught in a blizzard,
yeah.
and I thought, you know what, I need a tent. And nowadays you can't go to shops and buy tents, and to order online at the minute there's so many delays. So I thought I'm going to build myself an igloo.
So you decided to build a nice sculpture that you could sit in.
Yes.
Instead of buying a tent.
Yes,
yeah.
And the ironic thing is then it became such a massive tourist attraction. I never got to spend half an hour inside it.
Well.
Hi Philip, how are you?
Hello. So you didn't get actually to spend any time in the ice sculpture?
Never got to spend. I got half an hour one night or so with a cup of tea.
The irony.
And every other day I went, there was a queue to get inside first of all, and they would be having their tea and their sandwich and all inside. And then, so I never really got any time in it at all.
You'll have to buy a tent, Stephen.
I'm buying a tent for sure. I've never built another igloo. Yes.
Stephen, I did a bit of reading, because again, I don't know Stephen from Adam. I met him when I was going up to the igloo on Sunday,
yes.
On my way up, and I've subsequently done a bit of reading and done a few videos, etc. Bye-bye. But didn't know you from Adam.
Yes.
And one of the things that struck me, I suppose, that interested me in doing the interview with you, Stephen, is you did a piece or you talked about solitude.
Yes.
And the importance of being happy in your own company.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
I find ever since I was a tiny boy, I would always take myself off and be alone. I am social and I do enjoy company when it's there, but most often I like my own company. And I've always been the very same way, and right up until current day. And I find there's so much to learn about yourself when you're in your own company. So sitting up a mountain in a blizzard and all alone in the dark and the dead of night and the crowd, and that sounds like most people's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And even my family think I'm mad, and other people say, you're bloody crazy.
Yeah.
But I say, do you know, until you really sit in your own silence, you can learn so much about yourself in that. And there's comfort there. It sounds like a lonely existence, but I find it so fulfilling. I find it the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I would encourage people to take themselves off more often and be alone and sit with their thoughts and just a clear head and just be with the world and become part of nature. That's what it's about for me. I feel as though I'm part of nature, so I do. So that's my mindset there.
I love that concept that you just said about being in your own silence.
Yes.
That's a fantastic line.
There's so much there's so much there. And even at home, I don't watch TV or nothing. I watch Oliver Twist on Christmas Eve. That's a tradition.
Right.
Christmas Eve, and on Christmas Day I might watch Elf or something.
Yeah.
That's the TV for the year. That's so true. And the rest of the time I'm sat alone, and I live by candlelight. I don't like electric lights. So if you were to visit our house most evenings, you would think nobody lived there.
Right.
Or they'd all gone or passed away or something. There's just candles lit. But I love the romance and the magic of candlelight, and the way the light plays on the walls and stuff, that inspires me. And then again, it sounds very lonely and odd to people, but there's so much to find in that. You can just discover yourself. It's like going on a voyage of discovery with your own self.
With yourself.
Yes.
And I think you're right. I think a lot of the time people mix up loneliness and solitude.
Yes.
And I think there's a huge difference between
Absolutely.
loneliness and solitude. Do you want to talk to me about
Absolutely.
your thoughts on that?
Well, I think like loneliness is a totally different thing. Like solitude is the peace, the solitude, like the peace that offers you. And that loneliness is a totally other ball game. To feel lonely, I've never felt lonely in my life.
Yeah.
Never ever. Even though I spend so much time alone, it was a totally different ball game. I
Yeah.
feel so alive and full of existence and just love for the world and love
Yeah.
for people. Whenever I see people, I have so much time for them because I'm so used to my own company. So when I'm outdoors, such as now,
Yeah.
I enjoy the chats.
It's a high.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I never feel lonely, or I never feel like a recluse, or that I can't talk to people. I do love to talk to people.
Yeah.
And even now this interview might go on much longer than we think because I
Yeah.
love to talk. But yes, solitude is a big thing for me, and inner peace, and the fulfilment that brings in return. And it's a magic thing, so
Yeah.
it is. It's magical.
The other thing that you said that kind of struck me was that you feel at one or part of with nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always have from a tiny boy. And even I say that I feel like I'm a spirit of the snow, because since I was tiny I would take myself off out in the snow, and Mummy and Daddy couldn't keep me indoors when it snowed. When it was sunny like this evening, this bores me. Blue sky, this doesn't
Yeah.
appeal. But snow and wind and the most awful weather ever, that excites me, and it's
Okay.
exhilarating and it inspires me. But I've always been just at one with nature out. Even I'll give you a great example. I love to find injured birds.
Right.
And I always joke to Daddy saying I'm so easy to live with because the only bird I've ever brought home is a wild one. And it's so true. Literally 2 months ago I brought home a guillemot
Right.
as a seabird, and it had injured wings, and I kept it in a box all night in the kitchen, the open top box, and I went to the shore that evening to get it sand and stones, and I played all through the night in the Bluetooth speaker the sounds of the ocean.
Right.
And Daddy thought this boy needs locked up or something.
Phone somebody quick. Yeah.
But that's just again going back to feeling at one with nature. I
Yeah.
feel that I need to care for the birds and the wildlife, and I feel we should all do that.
Yeah.
So I like the worldly things such as possessions don't appeal to me. I don't own anything. I don't even have a car.
Yeah.
So I have a bike and I own a dog and my art materials, and that's it. And that's all you need.
Yeah.
So I feel like nature, this is ours for the taking.
Yeah.
And we should just become a child of nature and never lose that. Never, ever.
I love that. A wee bit of disclosure as well. I've got 10 cats, so
Okay.
I rescue animals. So I've rescued birds from the cats,
Brilliant.
unfortunately.
Yes.
But I'll take it in and I'll put it in a box and try to bring it back.
Good.
But the other thing that kind of struck me there is, this kind of, I suppose this kind of simpler existence.
Yes.
And again, I'm very, very interested in mindset, and I'm interested in how do we keep, specifically for this, how do we keep a positive mindset?
Yes.
How do we keep a healthy mindset? And how do we stop the mind going into those dark places?
Yes.
And if you're by yourself a lot of the time, and you're not lonely, you're just in a solitude,
Yes.
there's a lot of thinking going on there, I'm sure. So
Yes.
you've obviously got a very resilient mindset, or a very
Absolutely.
strong mindset. Talk to me about
Absolutely. Well, I find so like to be alone when you're an artist, especially, you need to be alone. It's vital. So that inspires creativity in me. And my mind is constantly thinking and thinking of little stories for paintings, and even books is something I want to branch into later on in life. But it's kind of hard to explain. I never really am thinking about too much when I'm in my own space and my time. I actually have quite a blank mind.
that. Right.
And I never plan ahead. So even tomorrow, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I never ever plan ahead. I just think live for the moments, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And I'm here on my bike. I could go in the road, and who knows what's ahead. We hope nothing's ever ahead.
Yeah.
But I just find live for the moments and live in the moments and make the most of, just as we're sat here now and seeing the people enjoying their lovely walks and the times we're in and the beautiful light that we're experiencing. I just think live more in the moment.
Yeah.
And I know some people have to plan ahead. I may be lucky in that respect.
Yeah.
But I just think just to make the most of every day and every minute, and get outdoors more and look for the light and the simple things that really, really matter to us. And I think this is the beautiful thing about the whole COVID crisis we're in, even though it's a sad and hard time for many, including myself. But there's so many lessons to learn from this. I always think whenever life throws a bit of a spanner in the works, I always think, instead of getting down and thinking like, why me, or why is this happening to the world, I always think, well, what can I take from this, or what can I gain from it?
Yeah.
And I think people are now discovering nature and the healthiness of outdoors and getting away from phones and news and media and just discovering living more. I think people now this last year have started to live more, which is ironic because we're told to stay in and kept locked up. And this is a funny thing. My father and my family, they've always told me, Stephen, you live in your own bubble. You're not in the real world. And now I say, well, I've been ahead of the game all along because now we're all living in all living in bubbles.
The world's just caught up, Stephen.
Yes, I think the world's catching up.
The world's catching up.
But really, the world's more advanced than me.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a beautiful concept to think about. Do you know that this stop in the world, or this kind of reset that we're having? There's different terminology in it. You know, with regard, I hate the C word. I don't watch the news or anything either.
Yes.
But it certainly had made people reevaluate.
Absolutely.
And it's made people think about, you know, on a deeper level, because I think sometimes we've just been going through kind of an automatic pilot.
Yes.
And I talk about automatic thinking all the time. It's just automatic, but it's not conscious.
No.
You know, there's nothing conscious whatsoever about it.
No.
And I think listening to somebody like you, first of all, the few things strike me is you just seem so optimistic.
Always.
And the energy coming off you is just so, it's very childlike, do you know, and in the nicest possible way.
Yes.
Do you know, it seems really, really innocent and really, really, like I'm getting the vision of somebody that's seen everything for the first time.
Yes, always.
You know, and I think that's a wonderful way
do you
to
know,
look at the world.
I always tell people that I always feel that I've never grown up, I just got bigger, and that's my motto in life. I've never lost
so you're
that
Peter
inner.
Pan.
Yes, yes, only not as magical. But I always say I've never grown up at all. I've never lost that spirit of a boy.
Yeah.
So whenever the first snow lands every year, I set my alarm every 2 nights. If it's night time and the snow's coming, I set my alarm for every 2 hours because I won't miss the first flakes of snow. And that goes right back to a wee boy where I couldn't sleep at night,
Because
excited
of
about the snow.
Yeah.
And I've never lost that spirit. So every winter the first snow comes, and every day there is snow, especially, I just go back to a 4-year-old boy. So I do.
Love that.
I never ever lose it. And I think that's the key to life. Because everything we done as a little boy and a girl, we can still do today. If you think back, and the people watching, if they think back to what they done as a child and loved doing.
Yeah, handstands, cartwheels, headstands.
Yes, building Lego and cycling
building a fort.
and going outdoors to find frogs and look for animals. We can still do that today and enjoy it. And I think as you go on in life, you can easily fall into like a wash machine cycle, where you fall into this trap and you maybe lose yourself in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to discover that again.
It's funny that you say that, because the interview that I did last week, it was published on Friday, was with Stuart from Cross Functional Fitness. And we talked a few different topics. He's a male fitness instructor that talks about menopause, which is totally not the norm.
No.
But the other thing that he talked about was adult playtime, and about bringing playtime back.
Yes.
Exactly what you're talking about.
Essential.
So it's hilarious that the both of you are thinking about the same thing.
It is essential. I say to people, whatever you love doing as a child, do it today. And just enjoy it. Don't feel what others think. That's what I never think what others think of me or how I would maybe come across. I just think, just be yourself, and people will love you for it.
Yeah.
So they do.
And actually that leads me into the interview that I did on Monday, which has been posted tomorrow. That girl's philosophy, Jenny you call her, is you do you.
Yes.
That's her philosophy in life. You do you.
Always.
You're nobody else. You can't be anybody else. Just do yourself.
Exactly.
You know,
we're all put on this earth for a reason. And we're all here to be unique and be individuals and make the most of life. And the people around us need us to be individuals.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we're all the same, or if we're hopping on trends or doing the things that we expect people want us to do, nobody wants that.
There is no you.
Like I need you to be original and you need me to be original, and then we're the happier for it. So
the other thing then, and I think we talked about this briefly before we came on, is you're so happy in your own company, and you find that being in your own company and that solitude gives you, I suppose, real clarity of thought, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
And that's what gives you a kind of a good positive mindset.
Yes.
It keeps you healthy.
Yes, well I always say I'm high on life.
Yeah.
Do you know, some people need to go and look
You're
for...
high on something, Stephen.
I shouldn't tell
I
what
don't
it
know
is.
what it is.
But no, the way some people need to go for external factors or substances even, and to look for a high. And I've never ever felt that need, I never will.
I don't think you ever should.
No, because I'm high enough as it is.
But then the bipolar opposite of that, from you building the igloo and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that took, I called it a pilgrimage.
It was like a pilgrimage.
And then I suppose how known you've become. Everybody knows you now.
Like last week, nobody was interested in me really. Just a few people followed my paintings, but I was very quiet still and just going about my normal thing.
Yeah.
And now this last week has been absolutely hectic.
You've had about what? Numerous interviews.
Over 10 interviews. 10. Yesterday alone was 4.
So to go from kind of solitude, I'm going to build myself an igloo up the Mournes for a bit of shelter and a bit of quiet, to 4 interviews in one day and God knows how many by the end of the week. Have you found that strange or difficult to cope with?
In fairness, I find it slightly overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because especially when I was going up the mountains, I went every day to see my igloo, sometimes 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And I had great enjoyment showing a couple of friends it. But I find it very overwhelming whenever I was up there, because this is the mountain I would go and never meet one person.
Yeah.
And but I find it very overwhelming, people coming over and looking for photos and selfies. It was funny and lovely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, quite overpowering.
I'd imagine so.
Because I've never experienced that ever.
Yeah.
And then for the phone to constantly ring, and it's BBC Radio Ulster and the likes of yourself and other news agencies and channels and Belfast
I'm a news
Live.
Agency now, guys, by the way, news agency.
Yes, one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the best. But I find it, it's been touching and lovely, so it has.
Yeah.
And I could have very easily shied away from it because I was so close to.
Yeah.
The very first morning my phone rang, the day after, and it was BBC Radio Ulster, I was very, very, in my mind I was thinking, oh no.
Yeah, this is not me.
I might get too nervous. And then I thought, you know what, I made like a New Year's resolution that any time life gives me an opportunity, I'm going to jump at it and never get nervous or chicken out.
Love it, yeah.
So, that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I'm the happier for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this time last year, if all this had been happening, I may have locked myself into the house and chickened out. But now whenever I get an opportunity and somebody's kind enough to want to chat and take an interest in what I do, I'm going to respect that and say, do you know what, I'm going to grab that and run with it.
I think that's wonderful, because I listened to an interview yesterday and there was a piece about Sheryl Crow.
Yes.
And I love Sheryl Crow. So Sheryl, if you're listening, give us a ring. I'd more than happily come and meet you.
We'll build you an igloo.
We'll build you an igloo. You can come and see it.
Yes.
But I love Sheryl Crow. So that caught me interesting. She was obviously a better music choice than the other music choices.
Yes, I know. Well, no, I don't know.
But you'd commissioned a piece for her, or she'd seen a piece of yours that she liked, and she bought a piece. But you didn't go meet her.
No, this was about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And Sheryl Crow was doing a concert down in the Republic of Ireland somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was commissioned by the companies that were hosting her, because it's always the done thing to give to give a gift or something. Maybe it's a sculpture or a statue or something. But in this case, she wanted an Irish landscape painting, and I was a great compliment to be the one they chose to do it, and a big thanks to all involved in that, because it got me massive exposure at the time. But I was invited back then. I could have went down backstage, had a meal with Sheryl Crow with the others, and I could have presented the painting to her, and I totally chickened out. I know I wouldn't go, because I don't like fuss or attention or being in the centre of these kind of high gigs sort of thing. And but I did get a photograph with Sheryl Crow holding the painting, and that was magical. But looking back now, it would have been lovely to be standing beside her and presenting it. But just at that time, I was too quiet and I wasn't ready for that. And I think that's another vital thing in life. Don't rush. Don't rush yourself. You wait until you feel ready to embrace the world and invite the world in. But until then, sit with your thoughts and be yourself, and don't feel that others around you are maybe thinking he's a bit of a recluse or an oddball. Because people would have thought that about me after I left school. I'm sure many people would have thought I was an oddball, and maybe still do, I don't know.
But as we said earlier, what other people think doesn't interest us anyway.
But I find you may lose people for a while, and maybe people just, they don't get you maybe for a while. But the last couple of years, they all come back, and they want. I get people all the time messaging me now, Stephen, I would love to come hiking with you. And I find that really charming. So
that's
I do.
Brilliant. I just loved the concept of this guy, local guy, building an igloo, says himself, I kind of like to be by myself.
Always.
And to the extreme where, does a commission for Sheryl Crow and doesn't go visit her.
Yes.
So it's not that I'm kind of, I like to be by myself, you're really at that stage of saying, kind of, the walls are up, as in, I'm happy where I am and I don't want to be in that place.
Yes.
To where you are now, where I've seen you get up the mountain and it's almost virtual high fives and thumbs up, and I'm getting the sense that although that might have been overwhelming, you know, at the start, and it's bound to be because it's one extreme
It was
to
so
the other,
strange.
you know, and it's so fast.
Yes.
I still get the sense that you are enjoying it.
I'm
and
actually
you're
loving
liking it. And I think that's interesting to me. Do you know that those two,
they are
parallels,
two worlds,
you know,
two worlds apart. Like, but I find the enjoyment. You see, I love to see people happy, so I surround myself in happiness all the time. And like the friends that I would let into my circle, I have a few very, very close friends, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because I say you have to be very careful who you let into your world. Be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
I've never had an enemy or never fallen out with anyone ever in my life. I never will.
Yeah.
But I always say, so embrace everyone around you, but be very, very careful who you let into that very close knit circle.
Yeah.
Because you need the right people in your space, and they need you to be the right person around them. But
I think that's a really good point as well, about, you know, the environment and the company you keep feeds your mindset.
Absolutely.
You know,
yes.
and it really, and I think so many people have, you know, difficulty with their mindset or negative mindsets.
Yes.
But when you look at the company that they're keeping or the environment that they're in, it's negative.
You begin to see how that can happen. Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's
why
your environment.
Yes. You should never let yourself fall into that trap.
Yeah.
But that's where, going back to the beginning where I say I feel like a child of nature.
Yeah. My
environment is mostly nature. So the birds and the sea and the clouds, and I feel they're part of me.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you don't need to be surrounded by people to feel at one, or your environment can be just your actual environment. Yeah. So it can.
And again, I think it depends on how you view it.
Yes.
How you experience it, because how you experience this.
Yes.
How you see this. It's very different to how I view and how I feel.
Yes.
No, neither one's right or wrong.
No.
We just experience it differently, and you've chose to experience life as an adventure.
Yeah, always.
And again, I'm only paraphrasing from what I know of you.
Yes.
And what I've picked up, and you've chose to kind of live in the moment.
Yes.
And again, that's something I would talk about a lot. Don't think about yesterday or tomorrow.
No.
Think about now. And I think a lot of people are unhappy in life.
Yes.
Because they're thinking about something that hasn't happened yet, or worrying about something that's already happened. And you seem to have the ability to stay present.
Yes, always present. Yeah. And I think, like, going back, whatever happened yesterday, forget about it. It's like flicking through a book.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure where the secret. I just always seem to have that inner ability, I suppose. But
to stay present.
Yes, to stay present. And I just think that's because I've always lived that way. So I've never really known no different.
Love that, yeah. No, I just love that, yeah.
I think it must be an easy thing. There must be something in there. There must be a better way to explain it.
Yeah.
I've just never thought about how to explain it because I've never known any different.
Very different. I think mindfulness is a huge thing. You know, it's taken off over the last while. And I think, again, our environment and our world has caused us to start looking, to things like that. And mindfulness, one of the big things in mindfulness teachings, and I'm no mindfulness expert, sorry.
Yes.
I wonder, is that still doing? I'm no mindfulness expert, but what they talk about is staying present.
Yes.
And I think you do that accidentally because as an artist, you're hearing, seeing, feeling, smelling.
Yes.
Probably everything that's around us. So your senses are probably heightened as an artist. And that's forcing you to be like on a high extreme present.
Yes. Well,
so that might, there's maybe something in that.
It definitely is the artist side in me for sure, and I've always felt that from a wee boy.
Yeah.
I've always felt that the world, the environment around me called me to be an artist.
Yeah.
I always felt that call, and so even looking around today and look at the sunset just now behind us.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And I just feel like these are the moments that matter, and this is what I crave in every day. The lovely light and the atmosphere and the birds and the sounds
and everything, everything.
And the extremes and the differences in the day and
the other thing then, Stephen, and I'm doing this with everybody, we have people out there and we've people that are experiencing the most horrific times, especially at the minute. And mental health is huge. I actually lost a friend to suicide in September. So I know it too well. I'm very, very close to it. And very, very, I suppose, in tune with it. And I know that there's people might be watching this, and I've had them contact me time and time again. They're at home and they've somehow got themselves into that dark place. And they're just finding it difficult to get out.
Yes.
What advice would you give?
would say,
what would you pass on
I would
to
say
them?
get out. It's just like, as I was saying there a wee while ago, that I would have shied away from these interviews this time last year, and now I'm so happy to be doing them.
Yeah.
So I always say never ever sit with that doubt. If you feel, no, I shouldn't go out, but you're obviously thinking subconsciously in yourself that you want to go out. So I said, just get out and do it. Just go for it. Do not give yourself a minute or two longer to sit and think on it. Just go out and be in the silence and be with yourself and sit with your thoughts, and soon you'll overcome. Yeah. I think you'll overcome your inner emotions and you'll become at one, and you'll find inner peace. And I always do sympathise with people that maybe do have mental health problems or mental issues, because it is such an awful bad time in the world at the minute. But I think that so often it just needs a little tweak in life. Very often it just takes a wee simple thing and you can find so much fulfilment in that. So it's like going back, cast your mind back to a little child. We were probably all happy then.
Yeah.
And then focus on, well, what was I doing as a child that I was so happy? Was it drawing? Was it art? Was it walking? Was it finding frogs? Or
what was it? Yeah.
So many other things. Building blocks. Well, what could I build now in an adult form?
An igloo.
Yes, build an igloo. Yeah. Yes, because the igloo's been the best moment of my life.
So the advice is, if I may kind of pull it together, is go for it.
Just go for it. Embrace life and embrace what life presents.
And tap into that inner child a bit more.
Never lose your inner childhood. Never ever lose it. Yes.
So find that inner child.
Find that inner child and keep it and take care of it.
Yeah. I just love that. That's fantastic advice. Find the inner child and just go for it, guys. Stephen, that was an absolute pleasure.
Well, I loved every second.
I'm freezing.
I loved it.
I'm sitting in Cranfield and it's absolutely gorgeous. And you are everything I thought you'd be.
Oh, thank you.
You're genuine, you're authentic, there's just a lovely energy, a lovely energy.
And the same here is just,
really
you're so easy to talk to and very, very good at doing this. You make me feel at ease.
Thank you.
And you feel like a friend, even though we just met a couple of days ago in the mountain.
No, that was a pleasure, an absolute pleasure.
Well, a real pleasure for me, and thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you very, very much, and it'll be posted very, very soon. Thanks a lot.
Good job. Thank you, Kate. Thank you.